Welcome back to The Price of Business. I'm your host, Kevin Price, talking to you about you and your business. I got my good friend in, the one and only Brian Spitz, and he is with, oh my goodness, Big State Home Buyers, right?
Yes, sir.
And I tell you, I've got both of those names rolling around in my head. But if you go to that one site and you hit the properties page, what does he call it? The investors page. Right. You'll find everything you need right there in one spot. And we want to encourage you to do that. And today, you know, what I like is that every time you come in here, you kind of give us a brief, you know, either bring in great people in industry that my audience needs to be aware of, or you bring kind of interesting tutorials to help my client, you know, my audience become better in the real estate area. What do you got for us today?
Well, today I wanted to touch on some of the tax credits and benefits to homeowners. Actually, there's a lot of tax, you know, the taxes, like you mentioned last week, tax codes are really geared towards people either owning their home, buying, holding, renting, selling, renting it out. So you can gain a lot of tax advantage, you know, in really any part of that process.
Yeah, no question about it, and people need to be encouraged to learn how to do that. What I like about what you do is that it's really, really seamless. And so before you focus into the topic at hand, explain how that is.
Sure. What we do is we advertise to homeowners who want to sell their homes quickly, and we go out, see the property, we make a cash offer. Some of these properties are in need of repair or inherited, but some of them are also just regular homeowners who don't want to deal with doing any, minor repairs or listing the house or holding the house or dealing with showings or agents. So they'll just call us and ask us to come and check it out and buy it quickly from them. So there's a lot of different motivators that call people to come seek us out. But regardless, we purchase the properties. It's a seamless transaction, like you said. There's no commissions. There's no closing costs. We just go in, make an offer, and close as soon as title is clear. And all you, as the seller, have to do is, show up to closing and sign. Now, afterwards, what we do with the properties, some we hold on to, renovate, rent, resell, and then another portion of the properties we sell off to other investment companies. And so that's a seamless transaction on that end, too, because what we're providing is properties below market value, below any value you can see on the multiple listing service to people who want to fix and rent them for themselves.
Yeah, and the thing about it is that if you're not using a company like yours and you're trying to do these type of things on your own, just the reality is that often you're going to find yourself in very dicey situations. There's what lien on this house? Right. All kinds of scary, weird stuff that happens because you try to be your own title examiner. You try, I read an article on how to do that once. And by the way, when I was a much younger man, I did title examining work, and I caught situations where there were liens in upwards of $100,000 on properties that they thought were clear, and I caught those type of things. And I was trained to do those kind of things. And you have people, professionals, who take care of every step of that and even make sure there's insurance for that title.
Oh, absolutely. We don't close anything unless you can get clear title on it. We have an examination part in our office, and then we also work with third-party title companies. Everything is closed with a title company. I just had a client the other day call me and say she spent $100,000 on a property and didn't get a title policy. And, you can't resell it. If you don't have marketable title to a property, it's different than a deed. If you don't have marketable title, you can never sell the property.
Yes, and sometimes if you hadn't done that in the front end, you're going to have a hard time doing it on the back end.
Absolutely.
And I guarantee you'll pay more than what you would have if you got it done before.
Oh, absolutely.
Because they already have you over a barrel.
Oh, yeah. Legal fees. And sometimes it's just not fixable.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Talk to us about this concept. And I'm sorry we went on that, but I think it's important for people to know that. Go ahead.
No, and I think that we should probably do a segment that's more about title work and title agency.
Yeah, absolutely.
But just what I wanted to touch on today is, on our blog at bigstatehomebuyers.com, and it's at your website too. What we talked about this week is different examples of how there's tax benefits to owning property. And when you buy a property, whether it is, from an agent, a homeowner, an investor, if you get a loan, all of the points, if there are any on the loan, are tax deductible. The property taxes are deductible, the mortgage interest. And a lot of people know this, about their own homesteaded property. But what they don't know is that you can also do this. There's a ton of tax advantages to renting a property, to owning one, holding it, and renting it out.
Mm-hmm.
And so what you get when you do that is you get to depreciate the house. You get to depreciate and write off certain assets to the house, like air conditioning units and repairs and anything that you can do. If you get a good tax person, you can really structure your deductions to last over the length of time. You get to deduct all the taxes and the insurance, and there's just so many ways to capture tax savings through owning rental property, all the while you're getting rental income, and if there's a mortgage on the property, you're getting the mortgage paid by the tenant. So it's a great long-term investment strategy, and there's just so many advantages to it. You know, like you said last week, the tax codes here are just really favor home ownership. So
yeah, Robert Kiyosaki, who I'm sure you're familiar with,
Right.
author of Rich Dad Poor Dad. He's been on the show a couple of times over the years. And, one of the things he points out is that it is the only industry, the only business that has that many particular advantages for him. I mean, it's just incredible. It's a rather rich list of things that the government makes it very difficult for you not to figure out how to make money off of real estate.
Absolutely.
You have to be really dumb almost. But
Yes.
anyway, I don't want to say that. I'll get in trouble with people. But they make it's pretty hard for you not to make money. You're doing something wrong more than likely.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're not getting the right tax advice, which is another issue to me. I think that it's worth paying a professional to help you do your taxes, especially if you have assets like rental properties or anything like that. But again, people generally know all the things that are deductible about their own sale. One of the other things that's interesting that sellers don't tend to know is that when you sell your homestead property, the IRS allows you to keep $250,000, or if you're a married couple, up to $500,000 in profit from the property without paying tax. So it used to be that you'd have to roll that over and immediately buy another home in order to do the tax savings, but the IRS makes it to where when you sell your homestead property, that is non-taxable.
And so it's just one of the many examples. People need to be cognizant of the fact that the laws are to their advantage. And so you have a group of attorneys and accountants that you work with that can help put someone in the right direction.
Absolutely. Next week, actually, we're going to have a real estate attorney on the show who's going to talk some about this and some about other real estate laws that are pertinent to investors and homeowners.
Okay, and so I want to encourage people to check this out online over at priceofbusiness.com. You've got a couple of articles right now that are relatively recent on this.
Yes, we do. And actually, we have multiple articles. We just did a general overview today about the tax advantages, but there's a breakdown of articles that are geared toward people buying, people holding for rental, and people that are selling properties.
Yeah, no question about it. And so I want to encourage people to check out priceofbusiness.com as well as bigstatehomebuyers.com. That's bigstatehomebuyers.com. And and then hit that link for our investors from one of my favorite pages. I check it out several times a week because it's amazing. Look, there's a house, $80,000 house for $30,000. That's crazy, $15,000 in repair. That's like instant. Yeah, that's like an ATM.
Yes.
It's like a giant ATM is what that is.
Right.
And I get to use someone else's card is what it feels like. So
Right.
That's awesome stuff. BigStateHomeDeals.com. Make sure you check it out. And as always, I always love having you on. I get excited about opportunity that's out there by getting to spend time with you.
Great. Thank you so much. We enjoy being on the show as well.
All right. When we come back, we're going to have much, much more for you. And stay tuned for it right here on The Price of Business.